Friends, welcome back to another high-impact introduction. This is King Arthur Pendragon 5.2, the Great Pendragon Campaign, Episode 41. Now, while there may be a GrimDarkJames 72-month resub that has just dropped on your screen, what you don't know is Glimo has queued up a 77th-month resub, and I got that out there before it appeared on screen, so I seem prescient. But what you still don't know is that before the stream started, BigSpoon got a resub in, which should tell you that I haven't streamed in so long, everybody's resubs are coming back up at the same time. You have to understand, though, today I was feeling rather irresponsible. You see, I don't normally do these introductions, but it's important that I do one today. It's been an unusually good weekend for me. I spent far too long forging out of nothing the Cattletech Below the Cutdown series. We had episode 1 launch. It's the second best show launch I've ever had. People seem to like it. They're watching more than just the first episode, which is always nice. And what can I say? That's got my spirits up. But I can't tell right now whether I'm like super hyped or whether I'm completely drained. Let me explain. You see, around Halloween, I decided I would begin a marathon of rereading every Stormlight Archives book so that I could prepare myself for the latest one, Wind and Truth, coming out. And then I thought I'd better do the books chronologically, so I started with all 7 books of the Mistborn series. So I read 7 full-length Brandon Sanderson novels before I started Stormlight Archives, which are extremely long on their own. And yeah, it was a reread for most of them. But not only did I need to read the 4 Stormlight Archives books, I had to reread the short stories Dawn Shard and Edge Dancer, which I'd already read, but those are regular length novels for a normal person. And then 3 I hadn't read before, which were now suddenly relevant. The Sunlit Man, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, and gosh, what's it for? Trust in the Emerald Sea. So here I am at the start of the week, and my Kindle tablet tells me at my reading speed, I have 26 hours to finish fucking Wind and Truth. Okay? Now, right before the show starts, the tablet is like, you're in the wind sprints, okay? You have 1 hour of reading left. And I'm like, should I just pretend to be sick? So all these fucking Sanderson, he's got like 8 storylines, and all the final reveals are collapsing all at once. I'm literally like, my God, I've spent 3 months preparing for this last hour of reading. But here I am, audience, with you. I'm fucking tired of reading Brandon Sanderson. These reveals are coming left and right. Listen, Spoon is like, oh, Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive novel. It's just like 99% of the book is just set up for like the last 5 minutes and the last few pages. He's fucking wrong. Spoon is wrong. I just reread them. I definitely know he's wrong. But more importantly, Wind and Truth is like, we're going to split this book into 10 parts, and each of the 10 parts is going to have a fucking, like, chapter-ending revelation. So your mind is exploding the whole time, and then they all come together in the last chapter. And I'm just like, what the fuck, man? Like, holy shit, did it all mean this all along? All these things that I predicted were right, and all these other things I predicted were totally wrong. But here I am, ranting to you about this book rather than finishing it, because we're here to play King Arthur Pendragon. So, you may recall the last episode. Take a moment to breathe before I switch gears, right? Take that moment. Here we go. We're starting. You may recall at the end of the last episode, James demanded of me that I roll a siege roll in defense. Now, I'm not going to do that. Not just because I'm the GM and I'll do what I want. Not just because I'm the GM and the game says I don't have to roll. Not just because I don't like it when people tell me what I have to do. But also because they have a skill rating of 0, so the roll is meaningless. They'll fail no matter what I roll. That's why I'm not going to roll. Instead, I'm going to narrate for you the bad things that happen to your opponents as well. We're all on the same page here. We're not rolling. We're just assuming things go poorly because there's no world in which they go well. Wow, now I feel gassed out after that whole intro. The high energy impact is done.
Have you been holding that since Christmas time? Did that ruin your New Year's?
It didn't ruin my New Year's even slightly. James, I've been holding on to it like a man in need of a warm fire who only has a small ember. And I knew that at the last second, I could blow on it and forge it into a beautiful King Arthur Pendragon, char of ash and tiny little flares in the night of the last embers of a campfire. Speaking of the last embers of fires, Sir Beige is in some problems. You may recall that this eldest brother is holding this particular area with not as many knights as one would like to have when defending a walled city. Things are not going well in there. The castle has more than enough food to survive. The issue we have is one of rationing. You see, Sir Beige isn't used to feeding people, right? He is a man of rare indulgences, living like a brigand and a thief that he is. And so the chance for unlimited food stockpiles and no idea how to distribute them logistically, we see it as a helicopter view, but your characters see it through the view of people leaving the city. Whether they are sneaking out in whole family groups by bribing guards, or whether they are jumping over the top of the walls or sneaking out through any waterway that they can find, people are leaving the city and no one is being allowed to enter. Your two camps that you have set up to block the major entryways, they don't have enough soldiers to go in, but they certainly have enough soldiers to keep people from coming out. And Sir Beige is trapped. This is not a situation he's used to. And every passing day, more people leave and bring you news that things are going poorly. You allowed a spy to slip into the city and begin spreading dissent. Now, the people in the city might call them lies or propaganda, and you might generously call them the truth. But either way, the problem with these rumors is that once they start spreading, they begin permutating, they begin changing, and they get better, and they also get worse. Morale in the city is shot. These people had not high hopes for Sir Beige, right? I mean, he's just another tyrant in a time of petty tyrants. In the beginning, things were good. No taxes, food being handed out in large amounts, but now stockpiles that were supposed to last months, even years, party time and good stuff have stopped rolling. Can't get wine to save your life in here. The alcohol is all hoarded up behind the castle's walls rather than the city's. James, can you stop trolling and chat for like 5 seconds? The military-industrial complex. They walk down the street and they see the blacksmiths and they shake their heads knowing they can never stop the sounds of war. Yes, the sound of the pounding of the two hammers. And that was what inspired a young J.R.R. Tolkien to write the book The Two Hammers. A condemnation of the medieval military-industrial complex. What are you guys doing in my chat? Are we playing this game or are we playing this game?
Yes, we're playing this game.
Okay, because it seems like you might be playing with chat instead. If you look, I'll stop talking. You just talk to chat if you want to. It has been weeks. Your men are also unfortunately growing antsy. It's difficult to keep them in supply. You face a problem of also being rooted in place. Now, while you can send parties to go hunting, meat alone cannot sustain you, and certainly none of your men would ever deem themselves so low as to be considered gatherers to gather fruits or herbs or crap like that. I mean, how are you going to get flour for bread? You have to pay money for that. That's starting to run thin as well. Wages are difficult to come by out here. You don't have access to liquid cash and no one wants to fight for promises.
Is there an option to send for somebody who's better at siegecraft than we are,
There
an
certainly
engineer or
is.
something? Yeah. I mean, like they don't have that option, but we do.
Yes. Who would you like to send for?
Man, I feel like that this is something that we could potentially put back onto the Duchess. Say that, we
The Countess of Ridichan?
yeah, it was your council Duchess. I thought she
She's
was a
a
Duchess.
Countess. Yeah, Countess.
Okay, all right, okay. To say if she has anybody, like we've established a siege, but I don't know if we can maintain it as long as it will take to break to break the defenders. Yet an assault is not going to be what we need. It's a matter of time and resources. So if she can spare somebody who can, it's not about someone who can fight a battle. It's about someone who can, manage a camp like this.
What about Sir Paul? I know he came with us
Paul?
because he had some experience in this type of, like, maybe not siege experience, but he had experience building fortifications.
Yeah.
So can we call upon Sir Paul to?
I think Sir Paul is a regular contributor at your daily. And honestly, you spend a lot of time in daily meetings around here. It has become bureaucratic.
We're having a siege sprint.
I mean, you all have to remain agile if you want to continue using your armor.
Wow.
Somewhere out there, Fohammer's just huddled in a ball, just saying "scrum,"
rocking back
scrum.
and forth. Yeah. I'm the scrum master. I'm the scrum master.
What you need is not a siege master. What you need is a project manager. It is a rare class from the future. You send word to the Countess asking if she would like to come over and help you solve these problems. And you speak with Sir Paul. He does not have specific knowledge of how to solve these problems for you, but his insights are good as far as, an already on the books failed roll are. You are alive. I think probably the worst manifestation of this isn't like your nutrition isn't going to immediately suffer because you aren't eating lettuce and berries all of a sudden, right? You still have camp followers to go out and get these things. It's just in shorter supply. Your meals are more meat taken from the bone nearby, cooked roughly over a campfire, rather than like a feast. But you all have certainly lived on campaigns before. This is nothing new. No, the problem is morale plummeting. The levies that are serving not only with you, but at the 2 castles you've taken, are men who are expected shortly to be back home for the harvest. And even if they leave this day, they won't be there in time. So the harvest is going to be a rough one without these people there. But the 40 days of service are also approaching their end. Your knights are no longer strictly obligated to serve on campaign with you at this point. That doesn't mean everyone's going to get up and walk away, but you may start hearing excuses about how they need to be home for this event or that event or for a christening or a knighting, and they simply won't return, and that's just a normal thing that happens. But that harvest will greatly affect your manners and your bottom lines, and it's going to spread out because it will also affect the manners and bottom lines of all of your household knights. Your misfortune is their direct misfortune. And so in your counsels and your speaking, no one is treasonous. No one is suggesting you leave immediately. But I think we come to a troubled evening where you are underneath, I want to say like a pavilion tent that has fire set around it to make sure that it stays warm, and you are around stumps at a table discussing things, and there's a lot of grousing, a lot of people who want to go home. This is not their fight, and that is when you hear the sounds of the Countess of Ridichan arriving. bringing with her 90 mercenaries and knights and a huge baggage train of everything she owns. I mean, this is her county seat, right? She's coming home.
Yeah, I think as well, like the line needs to be that right now we've done 90% of the work, and we've already missed the chance to leave and get back to the harvest now. So if we turn around and leave now, we leave with no reward, with a job incomplete to a harvest which cannot be brought in. But if we complete this job, then the rewards promised us will be paid, and those rewards should keep everybody good until through a tough season.
I will buy that no rule.
Okay.
I think that there is some questioning, particularly from Gwent, who pulls you aside and says, fancy. That's what he does. He pulls you into a card game. That's how he gets you aside from everybody else. And while the two of you are playing a hand of cards, he says, there's something to know, Sir Gwgan. You are somewhat like, if not the head, one of the co-heads of this Order of the Axe. And certainly you are a spiritual leader among the people here. If the Countess leads the final assault, she has no reason to deliver to us and no legal standing to need to deliver to us the final reward. Her quest to our people was contingent on us capturing all 3 castles or cities. If she leads the final assault, we will lose the ability to claim the castle that she says she will give unto us. That is not to say she won't give us any reward. I just hope that you keep in mind the position of everyone here when negotiating about how the future of the siege will go. Also, check.
The problem with the castle is that only one person can take it. And it's a castle in a land far from Salisbury. I know that was a very generous offer for her to make, but I think that it's a bargaining position to say that we won't take one of her castles, but we would still, our men who have fought and bled over her lands need to be made whole. We came here to do this, or I came here to do this because it would benefit Salisbury and our relationship with Witterchan, one of our near neighbours. And also because it helped to stake the claim of God's appointed representative for these lands. But I agree that these men need to be rewarded for the time they spent here. And I honestly think that cutting up a single castle is a difficult way to do that. But I'll talk to the Countess.
Went.
Shit. Yeah.
Sees your counter move, and he stands up and begins pacing to look out at one of the campfires. And he says, one of the reasons the Countess is having so much trouble now is that she does not have loyal knights. There are several among the levies who have served with distinction. If they could be made knights at the Countess's expense to serve her, they may be obligated to provide some form of tribute to you that could help offset the costs incurred so far. And the idea of common men rising would inspire the rest. Perhaps. Just a thought.
Yeah, that's a good thought.
Someone would need to choose wisely which men would become knights. Good men, but not so good at harvesting that their loss could be felt back home.
Indeed. I'll talk with the other members of the Order. Perhaps we could begin working on a list.
He comes back over, not sitting down, takes a drink from his cup, and then plays a card from his hand. And then goes, ooh. Walks away from the table. Obviously, he played Extinction from the Magic the Gathering set. His own Sliver deck was, of course, immune to that card.
I think given that like my gaming is so low, it's like that scene from The Game of Three where the person realizes they're actually playing the wrong game with somebody. They're playing like they're trying to play Magic and they realize they're playing. That's it. They're playing against a Pokemon deck.
Oh man, will we ever get Gamers 4? Ever, please?
Well, they've gone back and they've gone back to Gamers 1 again now with their current web series.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I mean, current web series, I think, is a bit of a stretch. I think that it's a re-release of their much older web series from like 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, okay.
Something they'd already done. Okay.
Anyway, I guess I'll get pitched that to the other two. Do you want me to sort of run through Glenn's suggestion?
Well, I think
Directly,
before that happens, there is a question of if you're sending someone to interface with the Countess, but more importantly, I don't want to say she sends someone to you. Someone who was traveling with her approaches your main camp, one of the two camps, who appears to be bearing a banner of the County of Somerset.
Okay.
Interesting. We'll go out and meet this person.
So they're riding like a pony, essentially. It's a short man. Hard to tell how old they are, whether they're like teenage or like maybe in their 20s. It's hard to place. They have long, drooping black mustache, no beard, like widow's peak hair, very thin, and they are wearing an assemblage that makes it clear that they aren't a knight and probably maybe aren't even noble. And from the like banner and heraldry they have, without a roll, you would assume that they're some sort of esquire from the Somerset court, which probably isn't as much of a surprise to you as you might think, because the Somerset court isn't one that strictly is a knightly court.
Hello. Welcome to the camp.
Ah, yes. I have heard that you are in trouble. You are Sir Kendric of the Order of the Axe.
And
I am Squire Galen. The king has sent me to you.
what for what purpose does King Cadwy send you to us?
I think it is understood that you and your men are not particularly well trained in siegecraft, yes?
That is true. We have had little need for it.
My
over the
journey
years.
began weeks ago when word of your quest reached his court. There was an assumption that you would fail in this endeavor, and yet you have come far without my help. I do not know what help I can offer you here, but if my workings can assist you, I will do what I can.
Do you have any advice as to how to better engage our siege here? Then I would take it.
My advice takes a more practical nature.
Very well. What is it you need from us?
Do you have any silver dust?
Silver dust. I don't think so, but
Eye
some
of
could
Newt?
probably be procured.
Very well. You have the wool of a bat, perhaps?
I do not.
Is Kendric on his own here?
No, I think that the two of you are with me. We'll go meet the messenger together.
Perhaps Sir Gwent or one of his retinue might have some of these things.
That is certainly possible.
He is known for carrying esoteric.
Very well. I will go speak to him. Perhaps he will have things of an arcane nature. He gets down off of his pony.
Or knows someone who will.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
what's the honor penalty for being a night wizard?
Well, this guy isn't a knight, and he also isn't a wizard.
No. But if
I believe it's -8
for
for a knight that practices sorcery.
Yeah.
It's quite bad.
Oh no, that's right. It's an honor route loss. That's right. Yeah, not a loss. Yeah.
I think as the dude walks past, like Kendric just looks at the other two and goes,
Yeah.
interesting.
What's really interesting is that alchemy isn't sorcery and does not apply the same penalty.
Right, because alchemy is science.
It's
Shall
God
we-
science, yeah.
Shall we go greet the Countess?
Indeed.
Kyned, as these weeks have passed, your rage has finally subsided and you are without the status of not melancholy. What's it called?
Yeah, melancholy.
Oh, Matt. Yeah, you're not maddened anymore at the Countess specifically. You could still be mad at her, surely, but you're not maddened at her.
Excellent.
Otherwise, what I just suggested would be a terrible idea.
It's treason then. The three of you approach the Countess. You see that her camp has not hardly even begun setting up, but she steps off of her horse, which she was riding on instead of the carriage, and she comes over to meet with you. She is wearing like practical riding clothes and something closer to like men's trousers rather than a divided riding skirt or something like that. But she has like a skirt that can be pulled down now that she has arrived, so that she doesn't look quite so, what would timeline-wise be ridiculous. And she looks over the three of you and says, "It would seem that I must offer an apology. My last words to you were harsh, and you have treated me more kindly than perhaps I deserved given my behavior. Your recapture of 2 of my castles and the additional information that you have sent back to me has been pivotal in bringing us to where we are now. And you keeping this Sir Beige trapped within my city has done a lot to bring me here now at this point in time with my men."
Grace, we welcome you to the camp. As you say, our men hold Sherborne and Wallingford, and it's only a matter of time before Oxford falls. Shall we return to our pavilion and discuss the days ahead?
Very well. Why do you not give me the download while we are there, so that we don't have to roleplay it in character, and we can just jump directly into the future? So we cut to the three of you, plus Gwent, her and her son, sitting around the same table we've seen a montage of your plannings about. Now, rather than being in daytime, it's now fully like black night outside. The fires are even bigger than they were during the daytime. It's clear that everyone's being kept quite warm. Some of her like actual noble guardsmen rather than mercenaries are like warming themselves at the fire, just making sure no troublemakers come and approach during this meeting. And the wine is flowing freely as the Countess has brought several good vintages with her. So
I think at one point Kyned just makes kind of an offhand remark of, I've heard that you have quite the wine cellar and that it is known to be remarkable.
She turns to look at you slowly as she puts her cup down. Her son doesn't seem to have picked up on what you're implying, and she says, "What do you know, Sir Kyned?" That was your name, right, Kyned?
It is. It's quite the vintage, milady.
It's my understanding that there are those within the city who are drinking my wine even now.
There are.
When you speak, Sir
with-
Kendric, she still continues looking at Sir Kyned.
Though with the additional forces you have brought, we should be able to easily end this siege. The forces within the city have been dwindling by the day, thanks to our...
I've heard if we can just take the first wall, we might be halfway there now.
Kyned, I need you to make a intrigue roll, I think.
A shitlord roll.
And I told you so roll.
Yes. Oh, that's a fail.
Okay. You are looking at someone who's doing calculations on whether murdering you would not be in her best interest. Right? You're getting a sort of petty satisfaction about being right. And as you're looking at her, you're realizing that all the conversation that's happening right now, all of that is falling away. Her primary focus now is that you are implying you know the secret of her family line and how to get in and out of the castle, knowledge of which she explicitly told you before would be very bad to fall into outsiders' hands. And she's doing the math on whether she thinks she can get away with having you murdered somewhere, possibly tonight, possibly during the siege. Just a nice, convenient time to wrap up a loose end.
Don't stand in any castle walls.
Classic mistake. Don't embrace her like a true Christian either.
Yeah.
Just get all our sins out on the table real quick.
With your additional the mercenaries that you have brought,
And
it
my
should
knights.
be... Yes, of course. Although I would think that you would want them to be among the last waves up the walls.
I think that a small team to enter into the secret passages I know of would be wise. Perhaps tomorrow night, an attack as soon as my men are ready. In the middle night, when the watch of the town is at its lowest point of activity, and when Sir Beige's men are reportedly, at least to my spies, asleep.
How many above the table? How many men did she bring? Like how many?
It's not clear how many are loyal to her and how many are mercenaries, but you recall her having very few loyal servants.
And then how many like, but like what's the total number of forces she brought
90.
with her? 90. Okay.
Now, of those, probably 30 or fewer are actual knights.
Yeah.
Like fully armed and armored with horses knights.
Okay.
A lot of killers out there, though. A lot of money warriors. Perhaps your forces, Sir Kendric, will assault the city conventionally and keep the attention of anyone that is there. I will take my people and perhaps someone to liaison with your forces, like Sir Kyned, who has proven to be such a trustworthy and stalwart ally, through the secret passage and open the front gate. We'll let you into the castle, and then I can recapture my ancestral home.
Your Grace, whatever happens in this siege, if you fall, then everything is for naught. I think that placing you in harm's way would be the greatest tactical mistake. If you do not wish to share the details of your secret passage with us, then perhaps share it with your son and he can lead the forces. But
he is too young. I will send Captain Alaric, the head of my guard. My guard, under the command of Alaric, and with Sir Kyned as a liaison, will travel through the passageway.
Countess, if I may say, you are going to need every loyal sword that you have when the siege is over. You have brought many swords with you. That is true. However, once the siege is over, I think Kendric looks around to make sure that, like, no one's around the tent. What is to stop these men from doing what the brothers have done?
You.
Are we? We have already captured 2 of your castles. Are we going to fight your mercenary army as well when they turn on you? You will need every loyal sword you have. It is not wise to send them on a risky night mission to break into this castle. Let me lead your mercenaries over the wall so that they can take the losses and we can retake your castle. Therefore, after the battle is over, you will have less swords to contend with your loyal men.
There are also men among our levies who have spilled blood, both theirs and others, in the defense of your lands. Perhaps when this is done, you will consider taking them as new loyal vassals, knighting them. We would free them from our service if it would help them to garrison your lands. For once this matter is done, we'll need to return to Salisbury, as is we are at the time that our countess afforded us is nearly at an end.
I think I'm going to need a roll from both of you.
What sort of role would you like?
I'm not strictly sure that this is a courtesy roll.
I think mine's probably
Oratory.
either battle, like
Oh, yeah.
strategic.
For you specifically, Spoon, battle for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll accept that. Oratory, James, I could see that, sure. Go ahead.
Could I bargain for a bonus for being in the vanguard at the Siege of Terrabil?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Success.
Right. So James rolled a 7, and Spoon rolled a 2, which are both successes. And a 2 is pretty good. Your 2-pronged attack has taken from her any thought she has of personally leading the recapture. I mean, I don't think that any politically minded among you are surprised that she wants to establish that she is the commander of this particular operation sort of deal. She doesn't want to have to deal with the hassle of paying people out if she doesn't have to keep her word on that regard. You have convinced her that that's not a good idea. Like, if she dies, it's basically over for her. There's probably her guards will not be enough to keep her children in a position of honor. It'll just be the destruction of how we know the county. Yes, if she dies, her life is ruined, James. Yes. It's not the problem here also isn't her life, it's her family lineage. Her lineage will probably end. So between this 1-2 punch, her immediate plot to have Sir Kyned killed also dies. And Kendric, you are given leave to tomorrow night lead her mercenaries over the top of the wall. Now, of course, the mercenaries will need to independently be convinced that that's a good idea, since most mercenaries aren't like, you know what I want to do? Go over the top
Storm
of
a
a
castle.
wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're going to need a damn good reason to get involved.
We will pay you enough for the rest of your life.
Which by my count is the next 15 minutes.
What do you all want to do from here?
Well, I think I have some mercenary captains to go talk to.
Okay. You find yourself going between the camps, speaking to small group. Like there's no unity among them, right? Like they aren't all in one band, but they all do seem to answer to a quartermaster by the name of Brennan.
Okay.
So his basic deal is that this mercenary army needs some central command and pay and logistics, and he's the one that everyone is relying on to make sure that funds go in and that food comes out.
Yeah.
Sorry, just quickly before you do that. So, because I might need to step away in a second to do with my daughter's lunch.
Sure.
I'm just going to spend time with the Countess, attempting to basically just socially cement the relationship between Salisbury and Ritter Chan, so that this is actually like, you know, a reciprocity, not just a deal we've done. You know, at least I know Countess is inside and out, so I can talk to her.
Wow. You know what they say? Once you know one countess, you know all countesses. It's like Tony Stark from the Spider-Man movie, where he's like, yes, all answered the same. Yeah. Okay, cool.
So that's what I'm doing while this is going on.
Great. Do we need to make a roll to romance this woman as well?
No.
Okay.
I'm not romancing her. I'm simply trying to make like establish a friendship between our great nations.
Yeah, he's looking for a non-aggression pact that will then, you know, in a couple years turn into an alliance.
Yeah. Long have we been allies, Loxley and Brooklyn.
He wants the countess's daughter to marry his countess's son, cementing the two lions together and creating a new super state, Ultra Salisbury, which
Salisbury
will echo
Chan.
into eternity. Duchy Salisbury. Okay, Kendric, you are speaking with the quartermaster Brennan.
Well met, Brennan.
He is looking over some crates, just checking for sacks inside of it. Looks you up and down. Clearly, you can see that he takes an attitude with you because you are a knight and a noble. And he says, well met, my lord. Good to see that you are holding up well out here.
Been a lean few weeks, but the arrival of the Countess and her men have changed some of the equation.
Yes, her men. Yes. We loyal few.
I'm planning an assault on the walls.
I'm sure you are.
The hired swords, the free blades in the Countess's employ. She has given me leave to take command of them, and I hear you are the man to talk to.
Well, the men that I represent have some questions to ask before we want to get involved here.
Very well.
Have terms been offered? Has every alternative to storming Oxford been explored?
Yes, terms have been offered. Alternatives have been explored. You know, we have spent weeks guarding the city. We have watched the numbers inside dwindle and allowed none to enter. They are low on supplies, but have enough to last for quite some time, given the amount that their numbers have dwindled since we arrived. It should be with a fast and brutal attack. A simple matter of clearing the walls.
Brutal attack. One would assume that knights would lead the way in such an attack to allow regular footmen to spread out behind them and support. Someone heavily armored to lead the way.
Yes, I see that you have several of those men among your number. However, I would also be, as I said, I would be leading the attack.
Leading from the front.
Of course. I was first over the wall at Terrabil.
All right, well, that's a really good flex with him.
Yeah.
I mean, this conversation has gone from, man, I don't really want to serve some fucking shitlord who has this great plan to get us all killed while he sits back in the camp, to, I'll go in the front. That's a very different flavor than what he was expecting.
Yeah.
So,
not
it
sitting
gives
at
you
the
a
back
second
going,
appraisal.
go get him. It's more of a, Come on, let's go.
I mean, yeah, you went from Pokemon battle to Pal World battle, in my eyes. Yeah, I think this changes his estimation somewhat. And he says, I would want to spend the next day investigating what I can and what my men need to make sure that everyone's satisfied. Make sure terms have been offered, to make sure that the city is ripe for upcoming conquests, and to make sure that you are a man of your word.
Very well.
I appreciate your understanding. If everything checks out, I will make sure that these men are ready to go over the walls with you.
I would appreciate it. And Kendric will like offer him a hand.
All right. He will Predator Man shake.
Can I get like a feeling of what this like? So like you called him a quartermaster, but like what is this dude's like job? Like is he like a mercenary captain basically, or is he just
They
the
don't have a
quartermaster?
captain. They have a publicly elected official in the form of a quartermaster whose job is to make sure that this rabble all stays together without knifing each other in the back.
Okay.
I don't know how much you know about Age of Sail piracy quartermasters, but he's a lot closer to that than he is to a captain.
Gotcha.
Looks like a bosun.
Does he get the bosun's whistle? Ooh-wee.
I mean, I think the main concern is less that they're going to occupy Oxford like the people they just defeated did. More, they're probably going to sack it up. They're going to sack it on the way out.
Yeah, that sounds pretty reasonable from these men.
Yeah.
They need someone to tell them not to do that. And they, they also need a second fully intact fighting force to threaten them if they do that.
And even when you do tell them not to, they sometimes do, Look at poor Constantinople.
Yeah. You mean Istanbul?
Yeah.
Wow. There's a whole Sabaton song about an unpaid mercenary army destroying the Pope.
It's a banger too.
It's pretty good. This feels like a good spot to take our first break. The real question is, will I be able to resist 3 minutes of reading a Brandon Sanderson book, or will I chill out so that I don't accidentally get entangled? Only the future will know. We'll be back in about 5 minutes for that second part. Oh, welcome back to that middle part. Unless anyone has any objections, we can pass to the next day.
Sure. Yeah.
No objections. I'm just gonna, throw out there that this woman is Kyned's kryptonite.
I think it's a mutual feeling.
Yeah.
I have failed, some of my highest stat rolls twice on her now.
Don't forget you've got your 1/20/25 reroll you can use at some point. I know it's only the 18th day of 2025, but
Hey man, I used mine on like the 4th.
That's true. He did.
I was trying to hang on to mine for a little bit longer this year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if people pop
me.
them immediately. That's the kind of behavior I expect from role players. Okay, so the next day arrives. It is a busy day where newly arrived mercenaries begin hem-hawing, and I mean, it's not like travel into the city is completely restricted, right? These mercenaries are negotiating with the gate guards and basically just being like, hey, we're going to come through here. Which side do you want to be fighting on, basically? And getting the lay of the land. Arrows with messages are being fired over the top of the walls into the city. Everything is being prepped for. There's definitely going to be the end of the siege tonight, one way or the other. A feeling of tension that is spreading through every group that's here. And there's more than 2 groups. I mean, there's more than 2 camps now. Now there's a 3rd camp. The people inside the city are not fully unified. The people outside the city aren't fully unified either. throughout it all, you find that Squire Galen is practicing some sort of alchemy and wants to know whether you think it would be more impressive if your enemy was beset by seasonal allergies, or whether you had some sort of potive made to swiften your alacrity.
Interesting.
Like a Red Bull.
Yeah. Will it give me wings?
No.
Um,
It will provide you with a slight burst of focus and energy.
yeah. I think I'll take the slight burst of focus and energy.
All right. He starts making a potion with something called mustard seed.
It's making me smell insults. Nice.
You
Okay.
don't put mustard seed in selling salts, my man.
Okay. Cool. Fantastic.
Just for the non-Hamlet lovers at home, mustard seed is also commonly known as Eye of Newt. It's not an actual eye of a newt, in the same way that tongue of dog is also not the actual tongue of a dog. It's just going to be kind of spicy seeds. If you've ever had Grey Poupon, it's the part of the Grey Poupon that sets it apart from other mustards. The mustard seed. I think. I'm not going to stake my reputation on that one. Okay, Glimo is shaking his head no. I'm glad I didn't stake my full reputation behind it. I just said it out loud. I put it out there in the world, but I didn't fully go behind that. Alright, so he begins making these potions. He thinks he'll have like a dozen ready for people to drink that should bolster them for a few minutes of enhanced energy.
Okay. So I should drink this before
Before
the attack.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Any schemes, plots, maneuvers, agendas that any of you would like to put into play at this time? I think a lot of your men are like eager to get this done. They think that if they maybe double time at home, they might be able to make it back in time for the big tournament.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think like Kendric is going around talking to the knights, our like household knights and our levies, and like I think he's like basically kind of like hand picking like a guard for himself as he like basically like a retinue to go with him, like guys that he can count on basically. Because he doesn't want to be by himself in like this crowd of mercenaries.
Wow.
So Kendrick's going over the wall.
Yes, Kendric is going to lead the fight.
Kyned's going into the Sally port.
No.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so.
No, that plan seems to have been
Okay.
gotten rid of, and I'm not going to open the door that I am not supposed to know about. I'm just gonna, needle her a little bit about it. But Kyned will offer to go with Kendric.
He'll take it, absolutely.
If there's a way for me to get messages to my spy and the people that are loyal, I would try. But if there's not, then that's fine too.
Okay.
Go to the wall, make the sound of a dying goat. That's the signal. I might then stay back, and because obviously we need to make things like that. We don't want to have people fleeing the city or escaping or coming out of sally ports and trying to double around on the back of you. So I might sort of, whatever forces are not going over the wall, keep them mustered, just in case we need to escalate.
Maybe stay close to the Countess in case somebody tries for that.
That's one of her loyal followers turns out to be not so loyal.
Oh. Well, Kyned, I'm gonna need an intrigue roll from you for sure, for sure. It's your time, my man. It's your greatest
That's a
skill.
success. 3 on a 16.
3 on a 16. Okay. So you're not trying to get information into the city. You're trying to get information out of the city.
No, I'm trying to get information into the city.
Okay, what would you like to get into the city?
It's happening.
If I can get hold of my spy or anyone that's loyal, and let them know that we're a coming.
I think pretty much everybody in the city knows you're coming.
Okay.
You know, sort of deal. Like people along the walls watching were like, a huge group of additional people arrived, and now people are pulling out giant ladders. Like,
Yeah, people are
Okay,
building
well-
ladders. Uh-oh.
Okay. Then I mean, if I could get any
I mean, on a 3, you can definitely get information in for sure.
if I could get any additional, any additional information that would help us in our siege, then great.
I think on a 16 intrigue, you could turn some gate guards with a similar promise as the last time that you did with the doorkeeper.
Hell yeah.
Oh,
That you
perfect.
could, yeah, that some of these dudes guarding the gate are going to be like, hey, this is just my job. I just guard the gate. I don't care who's in charge. Sort of deal. And they'll open the gate for Kendric and his men to come in.
Perfect. I will absolutely.
Now they want the Countess's pardon for sure. The recognition that they were just doing the job that they are paid for.
The Nuremberg defense.
We will make those recommendations.
Make those they want more than recommendations.
Yeah. Well.
I feel like this whole conversation could take place at the gate with like you in a hood, like pretending to be a refugee, like speaking through the bars of the gate at them, and their leader is just like, we're gonna need more than recommendations, my lord. We're gonna need something rock solid. I got a family to feed, and they're not gonna do well if the breadwinner is lost his head.
You have my assurance, and here's £1 just to grease the wheels.
All right, this guy immediately begins spreading it out among other gate guards here. And one of them is just like, gee, guys, I don't know. I've been feeling pretty good about serving Sir Beige. And, like, this gate guard you're talking to, like, looks to one of the other fellows and gives him a wink and a nod. And that guy's like, well, hey, Roderick. What's going on in this alley over here? Why don't you come with me, boy? And, like, Roderick's like, okay, I guess something could be happening over there. And like all you see, Kyned, is this guard going into the alley behind him, and you hear the sound of someone slowly pulling a long knife out of a sheath. You just hear Roderick going, I don't think there's anything back here, Jacob. What are you? Horrible gurgling noises. You see Jacob, the guard, coming back out, like wiping the blood off on his sleeve as they're still handing out coins from your pound. And the gate guard goes, "Get me those assurances, assuredly, and I'll see to it that this siege ends tonight, my lord."
It is done.
Listen, it's really hard to play that Littlefinger type character without immense plot armor. You know what I mean? So we have to do what we can to make these scenes matter. By including the Game of Thrones music. But not more than an appropriate copyright-free amount of it. Okay. How do you want to approach getting permission from the Countess for this?
This sounds like something that I'll let my brother Gwgan negotiate while he's doing his negotiations.
Seems pretty wise.
I'll send a page over with a note to Gwgan.
Sorry, what am I negotiating?
Pardons for the gate guards that are going to open the gates for us. Open wide the gates.
She did say that she would, pardon people that turned. I guess I'm not promising they're going to be gate guards any longer.
For sure.
But yeah.
Well, but that also wasn't Kyned's promise. It was just that they wouldn't be killed.
Yeah.
Right.
So I'll just start making a list of loyal, disloyal men.
Making a list. Checking it twice. Okay. It's time, Kendric.
Do you see the rhyme? Like he's making a list, he's checking it twice, he's adding a picture, he's screwed up the formatting, he's closing word in disgust.
What? Horrifying. Someone get this man a scrum master to teach him how to better manage his time.
So I think Kendric has basically organized kind of 3 assault teams, 2 of them with ladders, one is going in the gate with him.
Brennan has the men divided into like 2 big groups and then one group of like the shock guys to go with you. Mm-hmm. With the understanding that basically the guys on the ladders are going to get shot at and pushed around by the guards at the top. And like your job is sneak in through the front gate and then go up the wall and kill those guys from behind.
Yes, correct. Exactly. We're on the same page.
Yes. Okay. So their job is to be really distracting, make a lot of noise, and survive. Fortunately, they are very good at making lots of noises and surviving, so the distracting part's the only thing they need to work on. I think what you see is backed by the Countess's, not unlimited, but certainly more than you've had recently, amount of wine. These mercenaries are acting like incompetent buffoons with the drink, and are just like, that's right, man, we're going over the top. And then they like get their shields up and like block a hail of arrows coming at them, essentially. And just basically act like they're getting ready to go over the top, but just aren't like just incompetent enough to never actually get high enough up that when the ladders are pushed back, anyone actually gets hurt. While you and your group gather, your men begin taking the top off their potives. Someone like drinks theirs down first and goes, ugh.
Yep. So yeah, they'll knock it back and be like, all right, let's go.
I'm going to require a roll from you to take this. It tastes like mustard seed, fenugreek, and like bitter vinegar. Absolutely.
Like a
you go
Constitution.
Is there a Constitution roll on this?
Yeah, it's one of your attributes.
Yeah, I was actually thinking, and is it called Indulgent in this version?
Yes.
The one that's the opposite of Temperate.
Okay.
I just want to know if you can get the whole thing down, basically.
Sure. No, I fail.
Do the other one. Temperate.
I fail that as well.
Okay, so you have a choice as to whether or not you want to get this potive down once that horrible taste hits your tongue.
Yeah, I mean, I think he like stops for a second and like gags, and then forces himself to finish it.
Yeah, like several of the people with you just openly vomited up.
Yeah.
You see Jacob and his gate guard commander swing the gate open in the night and then basically form up a column of honor to welcome you into the city of Oxford. Yeah. As you make your way up the stairs to the top to flank and execute the guards at the top. I don't think we need a roll. I mean, it's the middle of the night. These guys are distracted, firing bows over it. They have no reason to suspect that a column of knights is coming bearing down on them out of nowhere. I don't need you to roll something really embarrassing, like a 20 on a skill you don't have a 20 in, and then stab yourself in the face or something.
I mean, you could just give us a bonus, and then I would.
No, your guys just roll over these dudes.
Okay.
I will require a battle roll. for seizing the whole area, and then probably a siege roll after that.
Okay.
Because seizing the town isn't enough. You also have to seize the castle, and you have to do it quick.
Yes. Any benefit from the potion I just got?
Yes, I will give you a +5 on the battle roll.
All right, cool. I succeed.
Okay.
7 out of 20.
You and your troops quickly spread out and begin seizing everything that is not in the castle. Guards are taken from behind unexpectedly. Several of the men here appear to be way drunker than they should be. Some of them see you coming and they just drop their weapons. Like, they knew the siege was coming, and they're just like, well, the knights are here. They're inside the city. I'm done. People in the houses and in whatever shelters they can find are awoken by your passing and fearful of fire and pillaging, but that doesn't come. And so instead they wait silently, watching you out of whatever portal ways, doorways, windows, coverings that they can, as the whole of Oxford watches a very slow motion conquering. Now it's the siege, my friend.
Okay.
There's no bonus here from your potive. Your energy burst from having a bunch of fresh herbs and mustardy taste is gone.
Okay. Let's see. I guess it didn't. Did it not keep my? Oh, it's under my battle skills. Okay, 5% chance.
You could always impassion.
Nope, not on a threshold of 1. So I fail. 9.
You have seized the city, but you have not seized the castle. And things, they don't go poorly. It's a castle. It's a freaking castle. Stone walls. Like, there's just literally no way for you to get in. You try to put ladders up once again, and it just takes one guy with like a hooked billet or something to just like push it off. You simply don't have the equipment to deal with this, and your speed wasn't fast enough to seize this place, even with your surprise. With that said, doing a quick set of calculations, there's probably less than a dozen of Sir Beige's men inside the castle. Like, some of them got caught out here. A lot of the, I want to say auxiliary forces, but like common men were all part of the guard. Like, they're not in the castle all night while that's happening. It just doesn't take a lot of men to hold a castle like this against a force of your size.
Yeah. I mean, you could hold the castle like this with like 5 dudes. So I think Kendric will shout up to the walls. It's over, Beige. Surrender. You're going to die either way. Better to make it quick.
Beige appears on the ramparts. He looks taller and more mountainous than his brothers. He says, "Who the fuck are you?"
Mr. Kendric of Salisbury.
I want terms.
We gave them to you.
It sounds like the terms are no terms.
You turned them down.
I want terms now.
You want terms now. After we've stormed your walls and we have you pinned inside of your keep, you're going to die of starvation.
Is there anyone from the Countess's entourage around me?
To what end?
Can I get to the secret tunnel unseen?
You're telling me you want to go to the secret tunnel through the basement?
And then, come up behind Beige and just put a knife in his neck.
Yeah, I 100% want to roll on this for sure.
I was gonna say just push him off the battlements.
Classic. I think this is going to be a hunting roll.
Hunting. Okay.
Yeah.
That's 50-50.
Now, just to be clear, if you fail this, it's not going to be that you can't sneak up behind Beige. It's that people are going to know you went into the tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you want to do before you roll this dice?
Yeah.
And no, if
I'm
you
just-
commit to a passion here, you can't commit to a passion for something else later.
Right.
It's all riding on this, Glimo. You could get
I
revenge
know.
against me. You could push a main villain over the side of a tall wall while he's monologuing, no less.
Do you dare?
Yeah, he's stun locked.
I'm trying to decide. Like, I want to impassion. I'm just I'm trying to think of an in-game reason that I would impassion as opposed to just I'm min-maxing.
I can see from your passions that might be difficult for this. I would
Right.
offer to some extent loyalty, Lord, but your character would need to believe that what they're doing in this moment advances the Countess over all other things.
Yeah.
I love that your religion is listed as B. Chris. I know you shorten British Christian, but the idea that you believe in a dude whose initials are B.
It's a small, when I changed religions, I had to start over, and the line is small, so
It's a degree. He's done a Bachelor of Christianity.
He's come to the right place. Oxford University offers several affordable degrees in that regard.
um I want the +5, but I don't
That's fair.
think that I don't think that in game in character Kyned believes that he's doing this for
The Countess.
the Countess Ellen.
Okay. You have a 10. You have a 50% chance of getting a 1 to 10 and being successful.
Yeah.
It's a literal coin flip.
It is a literal
Your
coin
life
flip.
depends on this roll.
I'm going to use my
There it is.
reroll.
Yeah, with a roll like that. Oh,
And
no.
I failed again.
So close.
I know. I should have. Well, no, because I would have gotten the 17 on
Yeah, on the passion and
loyalty
failed it.
lord, and then I would have
Be in an even worse case.
been in even worse shape. So
You slip away from what's happening here. You pull on the same disguise you use with the gate guards, that of a humble traveler in a cloak, not some fully armored knight prancing around with full pageantry. You pull away from the rest of the group and stalk through the empty, quiet streets of Oxford, moving towards the Countess's wine cellars. An external exit leading out onto the streets. As you make your way inside the wine cellars, you quickly make your way to the secret passageway. And as you're pushing the false wall out of the way, you notice that coming down the stairs behind you, not looking particularly surprised at you being here, is Sir Alaric, the head of the Countess's guard. And he has his sword out in hand, shield ready, and he just looks at you like, not that you don't have a sword or shield or anything like that, but you're like not prepared to fight at this moment. You're like pushing the false wall aside, and he just says, it's always the problem here with sellers. You can always find a rat. He doesn't charge at you or anything. I mean, it's not like there's a huge amount of room to fight down here. But this guy has clearly come down here to murder you and is giving you a second to ready yourself before you are brutally stabbed.
Well, you can either give me a hand and we can go kill Sir Beige together, or, you know, you can decide that the Countess doesn't need her castle.
Someone is going to deal with Sir Beige.
If that's the way it's going to be.
There's only one hero of this story, my friend. Sorry.
I pull my sword and shield.
All right. He moves into like a stance, holding his shield really far out, hiding his sword behind it, and begins crab walking his way across the room towards you.
I would like to impassion upon my honor.
Okay. Now, before you make that roll, I want to know how being caught sneaking into the Countess's cellars is in any way related to your honor. Because I know your honor's high, and I want you to roll it. I just don't know that this is an honorable act. I also don't know that not being murdered is an honorable act.
I was gonna say it's not that I was honorably sneaking into the cellars. It's that I'm honorably defending myself when all I was trying to do was win the fight for the Countess. And this asshole's decided that the secret is more important than winning the war tonight.
Okay. Make your roll. Boy,
Success.
if you had rolled a 20 there, this would have been devastating.
Yes,
Oh, man.
yes, it would have.
Okay, I'm going to make a roll for him because he is serving his countess in this action. He sees you getting psyched up. He is also psyching himself up. That is a success as well.
Okay.
So he has a 22 sword.
I have a 24 sword.
Okay, that's closer than I'd like it to be. When you're ready, let's roll, I guess. Okay, that's
19
real.
out of 20.
That's barely fair that you rolled that high. All right, so that's a critical for you. That's also a critical for me. The two of you begin fighting like wild animals backed into a corner. This cellar is full of wine glasses, full of bottles, racks. The two of you are smashing into each other. You are fighting at your best. You're fighting even better than previous duels you've had. And as the two of you slam shield and sword together, there is no ground to give in either direction. It's just two guys stabbing each other in their chainmail, hoping that something doesn't break before the enemy's ribs do. And just everything around you in the darkness of this cellar is smashing. There's just bare light coming from the floorboards from above. Darkness, bottles shattering. A rack falls on him. You get a brief stab. You manage to like clip him with the edge of your crossguard on the chin. He responds by elbowing you in the nose. No one's making any headway here. You're just both getting tired and sweaty. And if the blood isn't flowing yet, the wine is flowing spectacularly.
We're gonna try and knock a wine shelf over on top of him, you know. pin him to the ground.
For the purposes of initiative, he will be attacking you again this round, just in case there's any special tactics or techniques you wanted to try here, like fighting fully defensively or berserkly or something like that.
Is there a... I know this fighting defensive.
So
defensive gives you a plus 20, plus 10.
So fighting defensively gives you a plus 10, but if you win, you don't do any damage. Right. Fighting offensively also gives you a plus 10, but he gets a free attack on you. But as long as it doesn't knock you down or kill you or knock you out, basically, if it doesn't incapacitate you, you get a plus 10 on your attack against him.
Yeah, I feel like that's... Does that stack with the passion?
Yes.
Yep.
So you would get a total of plus 15.
So I'd get plus 15, but he gets a free attack. And
which he's I wouldn't say likely to crit, but he's got a good chance of critting.
Right.
Which could be bad.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna go with the regular attack.
Like I feel like it's more of a like, oh, I've taken a hit and he's still fresh. That's when you probably want to go for it.
I've got a regular success.
I also have a regular success, and I have the higher success. Neither of these are crits. Pendragon 5.2. So I think you will end up getting your...
You get your shield.
Shield towards his damage. It's been so long since we've done this. Okay, 15 damage isn't even remotely enough to get through your shield plus armor. So
he's not wearing armor, is he?
Sir Kyned?
Sir Kyned was. Yeah, he was with the main assault.
Oh, okay. Oh,
yeah,
sorry,
so Kyned is just wearing a cloak over top to disguise himself like goes through the city. But yeah, he's got armor on. Both of them do. I think that he definitely cuts away your cloak and disguise during this. Like, the two of you are now tumbling. It's straight up just a brawl where you're trying to, like, push the other person down. One of you is like slamming the other into a corner, and then finally they fight their way out. This guy gets a few good punches backed by the force of his sword, just hitting you in the gut over and over again. It's not enough to make you waver or anything. You just spit up some like spittle, and then maybe you feel something growing in your gut, like you're gonna vomit soon. But eventually he pulls back to like take a short breather from the beatdown. The two of you are just like smelling the fumes of all of this ancient wine that you're breaking left and right here. Just the heady adrenaline of the fight, all of it spilling over. He, through clenched teeth, just says, I didn't want to do this. I thought you could be trusted with it, but I have orders and I have taken a leal oath.
Say one more time. I'm not your enemy. Beige is. But if you'd rather fight me, then have at it.
Okay. Let's roll. I have a 5.
I have a 7.
7. That is a topping success. Go ahead. Pipping. Yeah.
20 damage.
That is enough to deal some points of damage to him. You can tell me, now that you've distinctly won this contest, what you're doing to him.
So, you know, I think what happens is, you know, we're both putting up a good fight. We're both excellent swordsmen and both impassioned. But we're in a wine cellar and we've broken a shitload of wine, and he slips and I don't. And so I get a stab in.
He struggles back to his feet as you stabbed him. Finally, first blood goes to someone. He looks unwell. Make our rolls. Okay, well, that's a really easy roll to beat. Yeah, to be expected, of course. Is that that's not a critical for you though,
It
right?
is not a crit.
That's a 19. Okay, go ahead, make your damage. For the audience's sake, I rolled a 1, which, while a success, is not a good success.
19, so that'll be 4 through his...
Whoa, you don't know how
All right.
much
Okay.
armor and shield he has.
Okay, fair enough.
You don't need to make assumptions here.
You got
Fair
your chivalry
enough.
bonus.
Is that correct? Maybe. I'm not saying.
Fair enough. 19 damage.
You continue the beatdown. If you'd like to narrate it, you can.
Is it more than his size?
Oh yes, 20 was also more than his size. You're right. I do need to roll for both of those.
2 dex checks.
Yes. Those are both successful.
Yeah, I mean, we're both good swordsmen, but there's a painful math about blood loss.
You see he's slowing down, getting weaker, and he can feel it. It's making him desperate. Let's make that blood loss math a 3. Okay. A success, but not a good one. You would have to... anything you roll is going to be better than this. On a 1, you tie. So... okay. I mean, the beatdown continues.
18.
I mean, you have him at this point. He is like half dead at this situation, and it's clear to him that it's not going to get better from here. He slumps to the ground at the secret passageway and just drops his sword and he says, I yield. Now what will you do?
Do I have your word as a knight that my life is not forfeit?
No.
Then I can't accept your yield.
You kill him?
I tell him I will not accept his yield and
He
give him the
still has his
opportunity to
hands
pick up
up,
his
sword
and
is
give
on
him
the
the
ground.
opportunity to pick up his sword.
He's still sitting there on the ground, bleeding to death.
And yeah, I run him through.
You unalive him.
Okay, this isn't TikTok, okay? And pretty soon TikTok won't exist at all. You hit him, and for him, the world goes black and white as he turns to look down where he's been thoroughly stabbed in the chest. And this is definitely not where he thought he was going to die. He didn't think he'd be dying fighting a loyal man in the basement cellar at midnight. But it is where he dies. And a tired, hyped up Sir Kyned is the one who slips into that passageway and continues to make their way up. Now, I'm going to ask you to make another hunting roll versus Sir Beija's awareness.
And he possibly get a bonus from the fact that I think by this point
You've been
the
taunting him?
parlay has devolved into just a shouting match between Kendric and Beige.
Your father smells of elderberries. I will give you a +3 bonus for your boys giving you cover. If you're successful, you can do anything you want to Sir Beige from behind.
That's a fail.
Is that with your +3?
Let me just double check. I'm pretty sure
Yeah, because it raises your
my
threshold by 3.
13
Okay,
instead of...
You make your way tiredly through the secret passage. There's so few people left in the castle now that even though you're like trying to move stealthily and quietly, there's almost no reason to, right? Like everyone who's awake is on the walls, essentially. You make your way to the walls. You make your way up behind Beige with every intention of like stabbing him or pushing him off. And for you, Kendric, you notice that Beige gets distracted and turns and looks and says, "Who's moving there?" And he turns to fully face you, Kyned, while you're like Assassin's Creed stalking in the night, to come to the realization that like Beige and a bunch of his men are up here on the wall, and there's absolutely zero chance that you can continue to stealth. Like, he's full on looking at you right now. And he goes, "Must have been the wind," as he walks away from the edge of the wall. Kendric, you don't know. I don't know that Kyned told you he was doing this. You just know that this guy turned and suddenly begins walking menacingly along the wall.
What is the gate made out of here? Is it like a pretty stout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's consider it like a major siege gate.
Okay.
Like probably banded iron.
Gotcha.
Kyned, you're just a few steps away from Beige and all of his men there. Like, they have to still fight off the siege, right? Like, if the ladders go up while they're turned butchering you, they get stabbed in the back.
Yeah.
Beige is full on, like, menacing towards you. He's a big guy. And this is a knight who, unlike the one that you just fought, Alaric, this guy definitely has no honor or qualms about killing you. There's no restrictions. There's no chivalry here. He's just gonna brutally murder you. What do you want to do before he gets to you? Because you're alone up here.
Yeah. How many am I facing?
There are 5 other, let's call them highwaymen up here, and Beige. And the others are having to divide their attention between looking at you and also keeping an eye on the siege to make sure nobody sneaks up here.
I yell out as loud as I can, "Kendric, ladders now!" and move into a fully defensive stance.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kendric.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a +5 to your siege skill. And I'm going to be straightforward with you here. Kyned's life depends on this roll.
Okay. In that case, can I roll Loyalty Order of the Axe?
Yeah, sure.
That's a success.
Okay.
And you're also giving me a +5?
Am I going to give you a +5 for this?
Well, you just said you were giving me something.
Yeah, the +5.
Okay. All right, so that's +10 total.
Okay.
Success.
Okay. Kyned, I'm going to require you to survive at least 1 round of defensive fighting, but I think that based on your previous impassionment, that does mean that you critical almost every defense roll, right?
Pretty much.
Yes. So once more, Kendric, you come up over the wall as these guys are distracted by Kyned fighting like a madman. Like, you've seen him fight, you've seen him duel before. This is absolutely insane as he's like blocking multiple swords. This rolled a 20 on a 20. Incredible.
Nice. Yeah.
Just absolutely. He has to be up here for like 20, 30 seconds for you guys to get the ladders in place. And by the time you get up, it's like shield blocking 1 attack. His sword bounces and parries somebody away. And then he just keeps the sword moving, right? It's not just like slash, reset something else. Kyned's sword is constantly in motion. What he's doing in one move is like blocking the next move immediately after. All the rebounds of his swords off people's arms are calculated to get the sword to where else it needs to be. He takes hits on occasion, but they're just bouncing off of his chainmail. It is almost as if he is favored by the spirits, by the gods, perhaps, by his ancestors. But this, for Kyned, is truly the finest moment of failing to sneak into a place, and yet it ends up working out for him in the end. I might add, a repeated failure to sneak into this place over and over again. But Kyned is not a thief. He's not a spy. He's a knight. And in this moment, he becomes a knight. I don't think we need to make a lot of rolls here. I mean, your forces outnumber Beige's by a lot. You're just going to end up butchering everybody. Once you're in, you're in. Gwgan, what are you doing during all this? What's up with you?
Just sort of coordinating at camp, making sure that people where they need to be, prisoners are, put in the right place. I'm just logistics. Yeah, an army moves on logistics.
It is true. That is true. And I think you're getting constant, like the Countess keeps coming in and it's just like, I hear that they've made it through the outer walls. That's good, right?
Yes. We should have the castle back in no time.
Yes. I understand everything, but for my son's understanding, explain it to him.
All right.
And just stuff like that. Actually, that's the perfect cover for being like, no, I understand what's going on, but my son needs a tutor in these things. By the time the sun rises, all of you are fast asleep because it has been a night of butchery, finding and putting down the last of Sir Beige's men. Now, of course, there's always another threat out there. Beige is dead. Basil is dead. Sir Bellius
wandered into the forest.
He wandered into the forbidden forest of Fey witchery and was never seen again with all of his men and a whole bunch of treasure. Mm-hmm. Where is he? Nobody knows. But he doesn't have enough men to retake this castle, not from the Countess's loyal guards, now that she's resumed control. Some people have asked where Sir Alaric is. No one can find him. Others ask, how did Kyned make it into the castle? These are questions that are not answered this night. They're not answered this night, but know, Sir Kyned, that you have not evaded an executioner's axe by any means.
There's that little text at the top left corner of the screen that says the Duchess of Ridichan. Yeah, the Countess of Ridichan will remember this.
It'll be a lot harder to kill you when you're back in your own lands, but you know secrets that maybe you've killed to acquire. Secrets someone could get out of you. A man like you. A man who pays people for their souls. What are you worth?
Just send her a fresh bottle of wine every Christmas.
No, I don't want to remind her that I know.
Letter, thinking of you.
Thinking of you, wrote down some secrets.
Yep.
Keeping them safe.
Send her the card that says, I know the way to your heart. Just as a reminder. So every time she goes through the wine cellar passage, she remembers. That sounds really stalkery, right? This seems like another great place to take a break while you all consider how badly you want to push your men to make it back in time for the tournament. Because if you miss the tournament, you miss all of that honor and prizes and knighthoods, but it would mean you can't stay here and get honors and feasts and all, and the harvest, of course. Spend the whole break thinking about that. So, we're back for part 3. Ball's in your court, gentlemen.
Can I argue for a check and sword?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, you got a check and sword. You rolled a crit.
I didn't think you automatically got one on regular skills. Okay. Cool,
yeah, when you roll a crit with any skill, you get a check in it.
Oh, cool. And so long.
Sure, it has been a really long
time. Could I also take a check in a combat weapon skill?
I will give you a check in siege instead.
Okay. Well, I only asked because I theoretically would have rolled weapon skills in these fights that we did not have.
Yeah, they were no challenge for you. There's
Okay.
still tournaments ahead for you to, and solo scenarios. There's so much time left in the year for you to earn yourself a sword check.
Okay.
Kyned is definitely looking to make sure that the harvest gets in properly, and is willing to lead the vanguard back should anyone else want to stay and be honored by the Countess.
Yeah, I think we need to make sure that we like at least some of us stay to work out how the Countess is going to make us good for this.
Yeah, I'm like, aside for if we're picking out some men to have her knight, I'll send the majority of my levies home with Sir Kyned.
Kendric, I mean, I know it's your tournament, so you might want to go too. But
Yeah.
Kyned
Gwent says
understands the better part of valor.
Gwent definitely volunteers for this job as a not exactly background character, but someone auxiliary to the tournament.
Yeah, I think basically Kendrick's is like, I'm going to stay a night, and then I'm going to. The reason I'm sending my levies with you is because that leaves all of anybody coming with me then mounted, and we can ride hard.
Gwgan, what's going on with you?
Well, I mean, I want to stay and talk to the Countess once we've had a chance to sort of celebrate to work out how we're gonna.
Okay, but
divvy up the rewards.
you're not, when you say stay, you don't mean like stay for days or something. You're just looking to have a conversation with her?
I mean, it may be a couple of days.
Very well.
I imagine that yes, she would need time to sort of sort out. I don't think she's ready to start dividing up the wealth right now. Yeah.
Let's have that chat then.
Okay. Okay. Sense.
Where do you see
Right.
this meeting taking place?
Probably once she's back inside Oxford Castle.
Okay.
Yeah. Your Grace, I see that you have reassumed your family seat.
I think you see that she has several like shattered bottles of wine that she's gathered up and placed out on a table and is looking over, and she says, yes, I have resumed my family seat at great cost, but
Some of our men will need to start heading back to Salisbury. We also have the garrisons right now at Sherburne and Wallingford.
I will send relief columns for them immediately. You may turn over their control back to the county.
Would you be interested in seeing the list of levies who we believe would make good knights for Ridderchan? Lawmen who've already fought over your lands.
I have a social question that takes precedence over that.
Yes, a question for me, you mean, or
Yes, a question for you.
please? Yeah, I'm
What can
here
you
at your
tell
pleasure,
me
Your Grace.
about the family of Sir Kyned?
I think what I remember about the family Kyned, it's been a while. Is because he was elevated from non-knighter, wasn't he? Like not from a knight family.
He was
yeah.
was a knight, but he was a bastard, so he was
Okay.
not in line to inherit until
His sister-in-law is the one you embraced like a true Christian.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's had a difficult family situation which resolved itself some years ago. He was not the man set to inherit, but he is the man that has inherited, and his family will continue to grow strong in Salisbury. His large family will continue to grow strong as time goes forward, and
He's
Britain
currently
heals from the
married?
wounds. He is, isn't he? Yes. Yeah, he is. Yeah.
That's a problem.
You were
Happily
seeking
married?
marriage. Does it matter? What the Lord has pulled together, no man can separate.
She gives you a frank stare, knowing of your reputation.
Hey, I'm still very much married to my wife.
Sure. We agree that on paper you are definitely married to your wife.
Yes. In the eyes of God, we are.
Yes.
Is there some message you would like me to take to Kyned's family? He has, as I said, if it's a matter of joining families, he has children that will come of age in time.
I will require... No. Could you deliver this proposal from me to Sir Kyned? It is of the utmost importance that he receives it. She has like several prepared scrolls with her seal already on them, and is looking through them as if deciding which one of these messages to send. And she selects one that has a waxen blue and hands it to you. I should hope that he finds this in good health.
I wanted to carry the message for you. I suppose the last matter to discuss is simply the fact that we don't. The Order of the Axe and the men sent by Countess Ellen don't seek to have a castle in your lands. That is, we could not have completed our mission without the assistance you offered, and we don't therefore. And even if we had done everything we set out to do, there's no point in a man from our lands holding a castle in your lands. That being said, our levies and troops and knights have all missed their harvest. Would you consider providing a reward on behalf of Riddershan, which is commensurate with what these men have spent and lost in bringing you back your ancestral home? Long may your family reign over it.
Have little food to send you, and my wine cellar has recently been raided. I'm afraid that my currently available funds and liquid capital are much lower than someone of my station would normally have. Can I perhaps send with you promises of priority trading partners? Our two counties face back-to-back against enemies on all sides. Oaths of brotherhood may bond.
Usury is not a knightly virtue. However, I will take your message back to our countess, and she can seek adequate recompense in whatever time frame and manner she deems appropriate.
Very well. You are dismissed, Sir Gwgan.
Thank you.
So, are you staying here, or are you riding hard with the rest of the
No.
knights?
I'll go back then.
You're giving Kyned his scroll?
Yes.
Need you get a really cool scroll with blue wax that has the Countess's familial sigil in it.
Okay. Prior to opening this scroll, I will have written my own scroll up and given one to Kendric. That should I die under mysterious circumstances,
Open this and read it.
This is where the secret entrance to the wine cellar is.
Okay.
And Kyned will be putting an insurance policy in place should it be needed. But now Kyned will open this scroll and see how this informs his.
In very formal language, it is a demand that your heir marry her daughter, and that your two family lines be joined. It ends with a sort of postscript that indicates that only family can share secrets amongst themselves.
Well, that would be one hell of an elevation for House Laverstock.
Except that she has a male heir, so.
But it would be glory.
She has a male heir right now.
Yes, also that.
I see James has played Crusader Kings 3 before.
How many male heirs does she have?
One.
Okay, easy solution.
Did Kyned open this around Kendric, or did you give me the scroll and then go open it?
Oh, I gave you the information like as soon as we were on the road, or like,
Gotcha, okay.
like outside the castle. I was like, yeah, things didn't go the way that I hoped, and should something happen to me,
Say no more.
help me raise hell. I believe the term is mutually assured destruction. Kyned will ponder this and will tell Kendric and Gwgan. Well, it didn't go as badly as this message didn't go as badly as I thought. Currently, the Countess is willing to overlook my transgression if there's a betrothal between my heir and her daughter.
What transgression? You mean asking about the secret entrance?
Finding the secret entrance and utilizing it to win the battle.
Yes.
That's how you got up on the wall.
I mean,
well,
I'm not, if Gwent is with us, I'm like, I just kind of pointedly like, I'm not magic. I can't fly.
Gwent is saying
how did you think I got up there? I told you guys I knew about it.
I think this is a positive for. Sorry, what's your heir's name? Started with a D, didn't it?
Deroni.
Deroni's my son, but if I guess
that's
the
true.
question,
You did adopt your. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, if it's the heir to House Laverstock, then it's my
Harad's
nephew.
Yes, your nephew.
Harad's son. Yeah.
You've adopted.
No. Krieg's son.
Okay.
Elfin.
Wow. Then it's a boon for Elfin marrying into a countess's family.
That's kind of what that was my initial thought was. It would certainly elevate House Laverstock over any marriage that I would normally be able to arrange.
As long as she doesn't see this as a hostage.
Well, it's. You mean Elfin is a hostage, or her daughter is a hostage?
No, as in his son is a hostage.
Oh, I would think that unless there's language in the the marriage contract, she would be coming to Kyned's court, not the other way around.
That's how I see it. Unless
Yeah, but it's hard to threaten you to stay in silence unless you do it in the way that gives her power over you. I think some of you are quicker on the uptake for this particular one than others, just because
sure.
this letter is the last threat. This letter is your life depends on you doing what I want.
Yeah, and I mean Kendric's intrigue is a 3.
Yeah.
So he's
Your
like,
silence
this
is
is
being
great.
bought here. If you don't accept the way that she wants it to be, things get a lot more bloody.
mm-hmm.
I mean, we did just return her lands to her.
Right.
Like,
She's not planning to kill all of you. She's just planning to kill the one who, killed her captain of the noble guard and knows the dire secret of how to break into Oxford and is apparently writing letters, spreading it around just in case he dies. She literally told you you're a security threat, and you went, you know what I should do? I should be a security threat.
Oh, what I was going to do, what I was going to do was to send her a letter saying, "Secret stay secret as long as I stay alive."
Right.
But
That's a problem for her, though, because that still implies that you've left information with other people, which is not what she wants.
And you could die not by her hand, and the information gets out.
Right. But if
secrets are for family, Kyned. Don't you understand? Secrets are for family.
Right, but if we can solve it this way, then it's a better marriage than Kyned would probably be able to arrange himself.
Yes, all you have to do is remove free will and choice from your heir.
He wasn't going to have it anyway.
But what about the romance? What's love got to do with it? What about us? What about trust?
I was going to say not a whole hell of a lot, but he can find that on his own time.
Wow. Oh, the Gwgan method. Yes, I know it well. I am actually inclined to call the session here.
I have one thing I want to do. So before Sir Kendric leaves Oxford, he's going to find Squire Galen.
Yes.
He says, "Are you sworn to serve King Cadwy?"
Oh, I serve the court. Surely they are the lands in which I was born. You can see he's like packing up a little mortar and pestle and like a small grinding mill and stuff like that.
I was wondering if you might consider spending some winters at my manor at Pitton. Not permanently, of course, but perhaps to train an alchemist of my own.
I am afraid that the court of King Cadwy insists that alchemical training and similar arts come to Somerset. Perhaps there's someone you'd like to send among the court?
Of course, when I return to my manor, I will find a suitable candidate and send them to Somerset. In the meantime, please deliver this message to King Cadwy. I wish him the best, and I again thank him for his gift to the Order of the Axe, and to our continued friendship and his good health.
He reaches out to give you a handshake and says, "The axe is to be held in trust."
Yes.
You have the ear of the court, which is no small matter in these times. Honorable men like yourself are needed to bring Britain back from ruin.
Should King Cadwy need assistance from the Order, he only has to ask.
Interesting. Well, you have a long journey ahead of you. Take this. And he hands you a potion vial.
Take it.
An ancient Roman recipe called Posca. Serve you well at the end of a long ride.
Farewell, Squire Galen.
He gets on his small horse, large pony, begins riding out.
Fair enough.
Now I'd like to call it the end of this particular session. And guess what? Next time we're going to start with another high energy, high impact energy tournament intro.
Fantastic.
Where we do some tournamenting.
Before we close down, do we want to talk about rewards so we can write them down instead of...
Sure. I mean, that's normally something that gets done at the end, but I'm willing to give you 20 glory for each of the castles, Wallingford and Sherburne, and then 50 for being involved in the siege of Oxford. Kyned, if you publicly accept the offer to have the Countess's daughter marry your heir, you will get 5 glory just for that announcement.
I will.
And then Kendric, you get an additional 5 glory for being recognized as the commander of the siege. Sir Paul and Gwent also get additional glories, as do the 2 knuckleheads who were in charge of Sherburne, whose names are Sir Seath and Dame Erwin. Pretty much everybody but Hayden is getting heaped with honors. That's definitely not because I forgot he was there. Any outros? Anything y'all want to cover?
I'm not here next week.
Then I suggest we don't need to check in about next week. We're definitely not coming back. Rough. Yeah, I was thinking the content blitz would never end, and then it ended immediately.
Well, I mean, I've been in Canberra playing D&D with my son, but that being said, in a few weeks' time, we'll be playing on my actual birthday.
On your actual birthday?
Yeah.
Let me think about that. How can I make that worse? All right, James, it's time for a poetry contest, and you're not allowed to use AI.
Not allowed to get caught using AI.
The last 4 lines of your poem start with, in summary.
In conclusion.
I do want to tell a short story where I was looking over the character sheet of another player in the Shadowrun game that we're about to start, Shadowrun Ides of March. And I was just reading their character bio, and I was like, there's no way you fucking wrote this, you son of a bitch. His character bio was like, he has glasses lightly resting on his face, and I was like, this is fucking AI, you son of a bitch. I can accept the first paragraph, but that line right there, no human has ever wrote that shit. Who describes glasses lightly resting upon somebody's face? That's some fucking... I was just talking to Spoon's wife about this. Akatar, the series with Fairy in it. Yeah, with that's the kind of shit you would get from Sarah J. Maas or something. Glasses resting. I fucking can't get out of it, man. It was such a blatant giveaway.
Now every pair of glasses that I describe is going to be resting lightly on someone's face.
My character is going to have glasses in the first episode of Ides of March, because they're going to have 2076 glasses.
Nice.
The New Year's glasses.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we're doing the episode on the 31st. I'm just going to be walking around with one of those big icy straws that have multiple loops in them. Just filling in as a background character. You know how it is.
One thing I've recently discovered running a role-playing game set in the Victorian era is that no AI art program I can find knows what mutton chops are.
Ah. What about sideburns? They gotta know what those are.
Yeah, sure, but
Mutton chops are different than sideburns.
I know.
That's right,
I'm
yeah.
just
They're
saying
much-
you could get
much more impressive.
sideburns as a. I'm trying to offer alternatives here, friends.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm trying to offer solutions to our Scrum Agile problems. All right. You need to tear me, a troubleshooter, down.
What I really want is the sort of classic Victorian, like the massive sideburns down to the moustache, but no beard. Like
Horrifying.
clean-shaven chin, but like, you know the look I'm talking about.
I do know the
could do
look
it.
you're talking about.
Stu
Look,
can pull it off, yeah.
It's right there.
I got to look at the picture attached to my Costco ID from like 18 years ago because I got the Costco app and it's stored on there. And I'm like, the person at the door who is looking at this picture and then looking at me, I don't know how they don't laugh every time they look at me because I don't remotely look like that anymore. Completely clean shaven, buzz cut hair. I mean, almost 20 years younger. Like, I could be anyone with that card, is all I'm saying.
Chat says in regards to Akatar, don't forget about the shattering.
I wish I could.
Lots of
I wish I could, really. It's not the worst thing I've ever read, but it's definitely not the best thing I've ever read. But when it comes to fantasy romance novels, you really, it's a lot of garbage. You just have to take what floats to the top.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's my outro. I'll say this. Brandon Sanderson's a real button-down guy. You may know that he's a Mormon and a Mormon missionary to Korea. He's not really big on like describing romance. People absolutely roasted him over Elantris being so bad at romance. The last 4 books that I've read, which he wrote during the COVID pandemic, all of them. He wrote them during the summer that everyone was trapped. Tress of the Emerald Sea, Yumi and the Nightmare Painter, not technically The Sunlit Man, but also Wind and Truth. All of them have Sanderson doing long descriptions of people's butts. I'm like, what is going on, Brandon Sanderson? I've read every fucking novel you've written twice. I've read the stuff that you don't even release to the public, the secret novels. You've never talked about asses as much as you have in these 3 fucking books. What has happened to you, my man? He talked about how curvaceous a dragon's ass was. And I was like, bro, you gotta calm the fuck down. You're the #1 fantasy writer on Kickstarter. You gotta relax. You've gone too far.
He's now an ass man.
Yes, I saw what she wrote. Yes, I know. Anyone else got an outro?
Listen, he also, there was a clip posted of him at a convention basically saying, don't gatekeep the romantasy readers, the romance fantasy readers. Like you gotta. So he's opening up a whole new market share.
I'm not gatekeeping anybody.
No. I'm not saying you
I'm
are.
hoping more cream rises to the top.
Yeah, exactly. The more the more mainstream it gets, the better. Hopefully, theoretically, the better the writing will be.
I'm gonna go ahead and say romance fantasy can't get much more mainstream ever since the death of Game of Thrones, a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
That's fair. And
you remember
Outlander
there's
is
like a
out there
fucking
and...
Game of Thrones museum in Ireland, and people would go on pilgrimages to whatever Hungarian city was King's Landing. That whole industry is dried up. The museum is closed now.
Yeah.
It hasn't even been a decade.
I don't Game of Thrones isn't romantasy though. Game of Thrones is just straight fantasy.
There's some romance there.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. All right. I mean, but it's not like the most romantasy fair.
Khaleesi.